Before we start, quick disclaimer. Your Australian Shepherd did not move in as a pet. They moved in as a hall monitor with a whistle, a clipboard, and an almost creepy ability to notice patterns. At first, you're proud. Then you realize the habits aren't random. They're strategic. One successful bark, bump, or stare, and suddenly it's part of the routine. So if you're thinking about getting an Aussie, or you already have one and you're tired in a very specific way, here are 9 bad habits of Australian Shepherds you really need to know. Number 1. The ankle sheriff herding habit. Your Aussie might love you, but your feet are still suspicious. A lot of new owners get blindsided by their herding package. Puppies racing behind you, grabbing at pant legs and doing quick little nips like they're steering a flock through your hallway. And it gets extra spicy around kids because running and squealing flips a switch fast. One Aussie owner summed it up perfectly, saying, "Aussies will often view kids and small animals as something that needs to be headed. Make sure you supervise closely." The tricky part is that the nip often feels playful, so people laugh, keep moving, and accidentally reward it. To your Aussie, movement is the whole game. It shows up at doorways, in the backyard, with visitors, around joggers, basically anywhere there's movement. And if you don't teach an off switch early, that cute puppy herding can turn into a daily habit. So train it like a job you're reassigning, not a quirk you're hoping to outgrow. However, if you think ankle nipping is bad, this next habit is arguably much worse. Number 2. The sneaky hockey check. If you've ever been hip-checked in your own kitchen, congrats, you live with an Aussie. Once the heel nipping phase is on your radar, this one can catch you off guard. Sometimes motion and pressure aren't enough for them. They add a physical bump, a shoulder tap that turns into a full-body nudge when they're overexcited or trying to move a person or dog out of the way. Owners describe it like living with a tiny linebacker. In fact, one Aussie owner joked, "Mine body checks his brother constantly and entirely on purpose. It's like a hockey game, featuring Aussie versus Husky." You'll notice it most in tight spaces, near doorways, on leash, or when play gets amped up. And if the dog is young, fast, and confident, that nudge can feel way bigger than it looks. If you ignore it, it doesn't fade out. It levels up. Because every time that shoulder bump succeeds, your Aussie learns a simple rule. Body checks get compliance. Number 3. Wheels flip the switch. A quiet neighborhood walk can turn into a sudden emergency drill the moment something rolls past on wheels. Aussie owners talk a lot about motion reactivity, especially with bikes, cars, scooters, skateboards, even strollers. The dog looks fine, then the movement hits their brain like a start button. They lock in, lunge, park, and try to chase or catch the moving thing like it's prey or livestock that needs controlling. One Aussie owner described a scary moment like this. "The same thing will happen with bikes. This one time he ended up snapping his leash, ran to the still-moving bike, and bit its front tire. Thankfully, nothing happened, but the biker could have flipped off the bike. The tire could have popped, Ollie could have gotten hurt, and it's just not a good look." That's what makes this habit so high stakes. It isn't a quirky dislike of bicycles. It's a split-second switch that happens near traffic, near kids, and near leashes that can yank your shoulder out, and you don't get to slow it down. Number 4. The order up demand barking. Your Aussie can sound like they're filing a complaint with HR, and they want it addressed immediately. This isn't classic alert barking. It's bargaining. Whining that turns into squealing. Sharp barks that keep coming until you look, move, throw, open, or hand over whatever they decide is next. And the louder they get, the more certain they are that persistence is the correct strategy. One Reddit user described the escalation perfectly. "If I do not comply with his demands, he will continue to be more forceful until he is full-on cry barking." You'll see it around play, food, the door, the leash, bedtime, and especially the moment you sit down. The trap is how easy it is to reward it without noticing. One sigh, one fine, one toss of the toy, and the dog learns the magic spell that actually works. That said, handle it consistently and it changes. The silence after the first few tries feels unreal, like the house finally exhaled. Number 5. The laser trap spiral. You know that look dogs get when they're playing, but their brain is somewhere else entirely? That's this. Aussies can get weirdly hooked on light and shadow. It might start with a laser pointer, but it doesn't stay there. A phone reflection slides across the wall and your dog snaps to attention. Sunlight flickers off a watch, and now they're stalking the floor. Then you notice them scanning corners, staring at blank spots, or pacing like they're waiting for the dot to come back. And people get blunt about it. In fact, one Aussie owner wrote, "Stop, please stop. Throw the laser out, never engage with it again. Dogs often require meds and months of training to resolve these issues, if they can even be resolved." What makes it so nasty is the lack of an ending. Tug has a finish. Fetch has a catch. Light has, well, nothing. So the search mode keeps running and the dog keeps cranking up. When a game starts bleeding into everyday life, it stops being cute and starts being a problem you have to unwind on purpose. Number 6. Ball is life. Hold a tennis ball in your hand and watch your Aussie's entire personality narrow into one single thought. For some Aussies, fetch toys aren't toys. They're the main storyline. Ball, frisbee, chuck it ring, it doesn't matter. Once they clock it, they'll stare, nudge, paw, vocalize, and follow you like you're carrying the remote to their happiness. One Aussie owner described it like this: "The ball, 100% obsessed with the ball. She lives with the ball. Nothing else in the world matters when she's in the zone." And the sneaky part is they often look calm while they're actually on standby. They aren't resting, they're waiting. Some people keep throwing just to be nice. The dog learns that persistence works and stopping is optional. That's how you end up with an athlete who can run for an hour and still can't settle for 5 minutes. The toy doesn't tire them out, it winds them up, and you're the one who has to call time. Number 7. Too smart for your house rules. Privacy becomes a rumor when your Aussie decides doors are a negotiable concept. A lot of people expect smart to mean quick tricks. What they don't expect is problem solving aimed directly at your boundaries. Give them a lever handle and they'll paw at it like they're cracking a safe. Leave a door slightly ajar and they'll nose it wider, slowly, like they're trying not to get caught. And once they figure out what works, they start doing it on purpose, every single time. One owner put it in the most painfully relatable way, saying, "My Aussie follows me everywhere, even to the bathroom. And now she's figured out how to open doors. So if I close it, she just opens it." That's the pattern. They don't forget the rule, they find the loophole. So if your setup is barely secure, your Aussie will treat it like a new enrichment toy. And when you hear that quiet click behind you, you already know what's coming. A fluffy supervisor checking your work. Number 8. The "how are you out" escape artist. You don't realize how many weak points your yard has until your Aussie finds the one you forgot existed. Some dogs test fences, but Aussies study them. They notice the spot where the gate doesn't quite latch, the corner where the ground dips, the stackable object placed a little too close. Then they take a run at it like they've been practicing while you weren't looking. One owner described the upgrade phase like this: "He has recently come into his climbing and vaulting abilities. 5-foot fences? Piece of cake." That's the scary part. It doesn't always look like running away. It can look like curiosity plus confidence plus one successful attempt. After that, your dog starts checking the perimeter like it's part of their daily routine. And nothing humbles you faster than yelling their name into the night while holding a leash they were supposed to already be wearing. Number 9. The "this is mine" resource guarding. One minute you're chilling on the couch, and the next you realize your dog has opinions about who gets to be near you. Resource guarding in Aussies can show up in the obvious stuff like food, bones, toys. But many of them will guard space too. A doorway, a bed, a room, or even their favorite spot on the couch. And the weirdest one is when the resource is an actual person. They wedge themselves between you and someone else, stiffen up, stare, and then escalate if the message doesn't work. In fact, one Aussie owner put it plainly, saying, "My Aussie is the same way. She is overprotective of me with everyone except 3 people." This habit gets brushed off as loyalty until it starts running the household. The dog decides who approaches, who sits where, who can reach what. That's when it stops being awkward and starts being risky, because everyone in the room is now playing by rules your Aussie wrote. Hey, if you enjoyed this, you'll probably love this video here. And if you hit subscribe, I'll donate a meal to a rescue dog on your behalf.